He's just outside grabbing his drum, but he's going to open us up in a good way. And I'm going to pass it off to Victoria here in the meantime to do our opening remarks. And then Wally will get us started here with the song. I don't know if he's, unless he comes back right away and he can start us off. So our round room is going to be for our feedback this evening, and we have our youth council that are currently here guiding us and leading us in our discussion for feedback in the round room. So after the opening, I strongly encourage you all, even if you're here to work or to promote your organization, to please go participate in providing that feedback to us and how we can be a good neighbor as we move into our new building next year. Additionally, there is a table back there with prizes, and they have door prize tickets. If you can go and fill your name and your phone number, we're going to do the draw next week, and you can win some awesome prizes here. All right, it looks like Wally's ready, so I'm going to pass it off to Wally here. And again, just big wish to you all for being here. Okay.
Stay where you are. Creator's song, words are simple. Thank you, Creator. Figured maybe that's a good way for us to begin our evening here today, or this evening, I should say. About that song, what we're saying through that song is we're taking that little bit of time to say thank you to those grandmothers, those grandfathers, that's in those four directions. And anytime we say grandmothers, grandfathers, we're always talking about all our ancestors that have already gone ahead of us into that next level of life, right? So it's through that song that we take that little bit of time to say thank you. They're those that guide us every day. It's through that song that we take that little bit of time to say thank you to her. Mother Earth, she carries us every day. It's through that song that we take that little bit of time to say thank you to Creator, to God, because it's Creator that watches over all of us every day. But part of why I thought that song was appropriate for us to begin this with this evening, it's also to give thanks to all those leaders in that region, southeast region, right? They've had vision for their people, right? And this is part of that vision. This is part of that vision why we're all here together today, right? So it's to acknowledge them and to say thank you to them as well. It's through this song that we take that little bit of time to say thank you to all those elders as well in that southeast region as well. Again, they're the ones that have guided us. They've guided those leaders. They've guided us as an organization over the years in that. And for that, we sing the Iwech also. It's through that song that we take a little bit of time to say thank you to those founders of this organization. And I think about Jason. We say thank you. I think about someone over here, Victoria, she was a part of it. And we say thank you to that as well. And all those other ones that had a vision of what Sharonan could be, what it needed to be. And today, we're moving forward with that vision, as part of that, right? So again, we say thank you through that song. This is that song we use to say thank you to all those staff, right, that make up this organization. Because again, without those staff, right, we would not be able to do that hard work, right, that we do on a day-to-day basis. Right? And to them we say, we actually say thank you to them as well. And last but not least, but also to say thank you, right, to those families, to those children, to those communities that we work with every day. And I know without them in that, unfortunately, they need these services from time to time, right? But again, it's important that we acknowledge them as well. And it's always just as also important also to acknowledge when they do good for themselves, right? Because it's us being able to say, hey, maybe I had a part to do it. And for that, again, we actually say thank you. So having said that mouthful of thoughts, welcome, 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 welcome.
Thanks, is working. Microphones always trip me up. Can people hear me properly? Yeah? Okay. Thank you, Wally, for being with us. That's when I ripped the label on mine because I don't want to share water with people. Thank you, Wally, for opening us up in a good way. And thank you to all of you who've taken the time this Friday evening to come and be here with us. My name is Victoria Fisher. I'm the Executive Director of Shawinigan Abenouchi. I'm a member of Evanflow First Nation, and I've had the privilege of working with the Southeast First Nations communities for the past about 10 years. So the purpose of what we're doing here today is to share with the community what our plans are, what our intentions are as we move toward moving into 865 Main Street. And to also hear from community about things that you know, things that you think we need to know, to make sure that we're having that type of dialogue. We want to be a good neighbor in the North End. So just a little bit of background on why we're looking at moving into this space is you can see by my colleague Brandy back there that there are pictures, names of different programs on the wall. And currently, these programs are operating in different spaces throughout the North End. We've grown and evolved over the past few years, and with that, we've required space. And right now, we're spread out. And we see the importance of bringing our teams together under one roof to support service delivery that's centered on those we're serving. To find opportunities for us to work collaboratively and to connect between programs, and also for our programs to be accessible to members under one roof. So that's the reason that led us to start considering moving into 865 Main Street. So this move into 865 Main Street is in partnership with the owners of the building. So we have Brian Hart here from SCRDC. So thank you for joining us. And then Shawinigan Abenouchi is a tenant in this space. So this is partnership. And I wanted to kind of talk a bit about the importance of partnership and us working together towards our objectives. I think naturally as First Nations people, we respond collectively to the need of children, families, and communities. And that's the goal of how Shawinigan operates. That's how it came to be. So as Wally has shared, the leadership in the Southeast First Nations had a vision. Shawinigan Abenouchi was incorporated in 2005, and at that time it was called Forbet Inc. And the reason it was incorporated was to respond to an issue that was happening in the First Nations communities, where, like Wally said, there are some times where our families require supports. There are times when children are in need of protection. And when children were entering care in the communities, there were not placement options available within the First Nation. So it was resulting in kids being flown out of First Nations and being placed in stranger-based homes. And with that, losing their sense of identity, losing their language, losing those relationships with their family members. And so leadership in the Southeast First Nations did something about it. What they did was they incorporated Forbet Inc., which was later renamed into Shawinigan Abenouchi, which for those Anishinaabe speakers here, know it means nurture the child. It means almost more than nurture the child. When we think of the language, often and when we try to translate it into English, it doesn't fully capture the full meaning of that word. And Shawena Mabanuchi is a powerful name. So what they did is Southeast Child and Family Services, SERDC, and First Nations leadership worked together to respond to that need. And it resulted in homes being made available in First Nations so that if kids did come into care, they were able to still go to their same school, see their same buddies, have closer proximity to their family. And for those parents, they were able to see their children in the community, which supports that continued connection and opportunity for reunification. So from that time, more homes were developed in more First Nations. And Shawena Mabanuchi currently operates 65 homes across the 8 Southeast First Nations and also here in Winnipeg and rural areas. Shawena as a company, it's responsive. It responds to the needs that are communicated to us by our members. So with that, the organization has evolved to provide homes for youth. It's evolved to provide transition services and affordable housing for young people who are exiting care, and that's our space at 126 Alfred under Brandy's leadership. We've evolved to develop a school when we were recognizing that the educational rights of our kids weren't being respected, and that kids were experiencing delayed intakes for school if they were moving between homes throughout the school year. So that's how we've operated. It's started with this vision of leadership in our communities, and Shawena Mabanuchi reports to a board of directors that's representative of each of those 8 First Nations, and they provide us with direction, leadership, governance. And in addition to that, this year is the 2nd year that we've had a youth council, and our youth council there are leaders as well. These are people who provide input, direction, guidance to how we operate. And we're fortunate to have a number of our youth council members here with us today. So thanks, guys, for spending your Friday evening with us. So that's a bit about why we're here, where we come from, who we are. Was there anything else you wanted me to talk about? Raven's running the show here. She's telling me what to do. So we just wanted to make sure that we're sharing this information, that we're having opportunity for that dialogue. We have a number of staff here if there are questions about some of the programs we operate. And then there's pictures along the wall of what the interior of the space will be transformed into. And then you can take your time asking questions, looking at some of those images. And in the round room, there are questions along the wall. And maybe what I'll do at this point is pass it over to Raven to explain a little bit more about that. 1 second.
Can you talk about some of the programs, and what programs that you offer?
So in addition to the homes and the youth transition services called the Memengwa program, we have our education program. We also have our support work program. So it's just continued to respond to those types of needs. We have our wellness team, which was established about 2 years ago and led by Mr. Marty Belanger, way in the back there, which provides support to young people who are living with us, but also our caregivers and our staff. And it's just been a tremendous help to have those who are involved in our wellness team be a part of supporting us in this work and helping us do this in a good way. Yeah. So thank you for taking the time to listen to me. And I'll pass it over to Raven just to provide more information on the kind of flow of this evening.
So thank you all. Thank you, Victoria, for sharing that. While we're on the thank you topics, I just want to thank our partners at Indigenous Vision for the North End here. And with that, transition into why we are here today. So why we are here today and conducting this community information session is because we are aware that as we are moving into 865 Main Street, we are now becoming part of the North End Point Douglas community. So we need to do that in a good way. And background of how I went about conducting the information session today is I reached out to Shelley at Indigenous Vision for the North End, and we worked together to partner on today's event because they are already the experts of this area and a part of a steering committee of a network of organizations that do really good work in this community. So we want to make sure that we are going about doing this in the right way. And in order to do that in any community engagement, you have to get that feedback from the experts who live in the area as well and work in the area. So that is a little bit about why we are here today. And I just want to make sure that we thanked everybody that was a part of making today happen. And I'm going to give an extra thank you to our youth council that is here today as well, because it's really important that we involve our youth in everything that we do. And that is why the youth council was started last year, is because we are evolving as an organization, developing programs and services for young people. So it's important that we get that ongoing consistent feedback and guidance from our youth council. So that is the first purpose to our youth council. The second purpose to having our youth council is to build their capacity as leaders in their community. We already know that they're leaders in the community, so how can we support and build their gifts and strengths, and also hear the voices of their peers and their friends in the community, the children that they're engaged with as well. So really very proud of our youth council, and I'm very proud to have them here. Proud that keeps going, so thank you. That definitely deserves a clap. There are 16 youth council members, 2 from each of the 8 Southeast First Nations, and it's a mixture of them living in the community or living here. Also, we find ways to bring them back to their community and to deliver some of our programming as well. So we highly use our youth council in everything that we do, and they're very important. That's what I wanted to share. So thank you all for being here today. I just wanted to share to encourage you all to come to our feedback room after I'm done talking, and to engage with our youth, and they'll make sure to capture your ideas. If you feel comfortable, to fill it out on the flip chart, but if you feel a little shy, that's okay too. We have paper copies for you to fill out your ideas and feedback. There are 4 questions that talk about how we can be a good neighbor, and also if there's anything we need to consider in coming to our new building. And if you have any ideas on how we can go about that in the right way. So I encourage you all to please come into the feedback room, the round room there. Both doors are open, you come either side. Also, don't forget to get a door prize ticket back there at that table, just wave. Yeah, so there's a bunch of door prizes, so please fill out a ticket with your name and your phone number, because we'll do the draw next week. And one piece I'm forgetting about all of this is the report back. We always have to report back to community on everything that we do. So we'll be sharing through our Facebook, social media, on some of those ideas that you all share today, and to ensure that we always report back that to the community. So I don't think I'm forgetting anything. If you need the washrooms, it's kind of through that door's over there, right past the feedback board on that area. Got everything, okay. All right, so miigwech everybody, and we're here till 7 o'clock, so anytime between now and then, just you're welcome to help yourself to coffee, donuts. Please, we don't want to take any leftovers. And come to the round room and engage with our youth, share your ideas and your feedback. We have stickers as well if you want to vote on ideas you already see up there. That will tell us the order of importance, or say if more people like this one idea, then we'll make sure that we follow through. Miigwech.